Hi folks, welcome back to Math with Captain Rod. I'm making this video here as a test preparation video here for your unit, Unit 16 test here coming up. So one of the things you're going to be asked to do is graph exponential functions. I am on page 438 of your textbook. I've picked out what I think is the toughest one on the book here, and I'm going to talk about graphing it. Now, on the test, you are going to be asked to find 5 points. All right, so just like we do in class, I'm going to go through here and find some points here. And I'm going to pick some easy values for x. We'll start maybe with x equals 0. So then y is going to be 1/3 to the 0 minus 1, which is 3. So this graph goes through the point 0, 3. And I think what I'll do here is as I calculate them, put them on the graph. 1, 2, 3. And then maybe x is 1. So y is going to equal 1/3 to the negative 1 minus 1, which is 1/3 to the negative 2, which is 3 over 1 squared, which is 9. So this goes through the point 1, 9. That's like way up here somewhere. Right? Now, if I go further out, this is probably going to be way up here. So what I'm going to do is go to the left. Minus 1. Let's try that. Then y is going to be, being very careful, 1/3 to the minus a minus 1, that's plus 1, minus 1, which is 1/3 to the 0, which is 1. So this goes through the point negative 1, 1. Now hopefully you've seen enough of these exponentials to know it's going to probably have this type of shape. I'm going to do one more point here. Let's go out to x equals negative 2. So y is going to read 1/3. Now remember, this is minus x, so if I do minus a minus 2, we get plus 2, minus 1. That's 1/3 to the first, which is 1/3. So negative 2 1/3 is 1, 2 over 1/3 up, right above the axis. And again, you can see the shape here. It's going to look like this, but on the test, it does ask for 5 points. Let's do one more, negative 3. So y is going to equal 1/3 to the minus a minus 3 minus 1. That's going to be 1/3 to the plus 3 minus 1, which is 1 over 3 squared, which is 1/9. So there are my points. Negative 3, 1/9. So 1, 2, 3, 1/9 is barely above the axis here, so that's good enough. There's my sketch of the graph. There are my points. The test also asks about asymptotes. Your homework typically didn't. I'm glad I brought that up in class all of the time. So the asymptotes are what the functions approach. You'll notice that this function approaches this line, so y equals 0 is the asymptote. Please try to decide on the asymptotes when you do some of these homework problems, but when I grade this, I'm not going to be very looking for that very strongly here because it was not well represented in your homework. But this one, this axis is an asymptote. That's y equals 0. That's called a horizontal asymptote. Some further notes here. This thing is a function because it passes the vertical line test. It's 1-to-1 because it passes the horizontal line test. The domain is all real numbers because you can put in any value for x. You're going to get a value out for y. The range is all the y values greater than 0. Notice that the graph goes to infinity in this direction, but there's no point on the graph that's on this axis or down here. The test does not ask for this stuff. I just thought I would at least talk about it because we're going to be talking more and more about domains and ranges. So to practice for this type of problem, in your homework, some good ones to do, and these are on page 438. Problems 3, 5, and 7. And if you give me a moment here, I'm going to look at that test. And I think that reasonably well represents the problems of this type that are on your test. There are 2 exponential graphing types of problems on your test. If you know how to do these, you'll be in good shape. Practice filling this out because the test specifically has these. You got to do 5 points. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pause this for a moment and set up for the next part of the review.